Welcome to Dr. Fred Markets. This is not financial advice. Every day, billions of dollars move across markets that most people don't even know exist. Crypto, stocks, AI, the signals are there if you know where to look. And that's exactly what we do here. Let's dive in.
Space rockets just became safer inflation hedges than your index fund. Micron just kissed a $1 trillion market cap on hype that its chips will feed AI and data centers for a decade, while the S&P quietly bleeds 0.25% and Nvidia coughs up 2.4% in a single session. At the same time, Rocket Lab sneaks in a green day, up 0.8%, while everyone doom scrolls Middle East headlines and ignores the only business that actually physically leaves Earth. And buried in today's newsfeed, American Airlines just handed SpaceX's Starlink a fat win, in-flight Wi-Fi across more than 500 planes, which is not cool tech, it's a toll booth on global bandwidth. Here's the cliffhanger. The real inflation hedge this decade won't be gold, Bitcoin, or your precious S&P. It will be whoever rents the sky. Let me explain before you throw rocks in the comments. Today you pay tolls on 3 rails: money, banks, energy, utilities, and data, ISPs and cloud. Starlink and Rocket Lab are quietly welding those 3 together, 500 kilometers above your head. Starlink signs American Airlines, not because streaming TikTok on a plane is the future, but because it proves the business model. We control the pipe. Everyone pays rent. That's not a story stock. That's a licensed monopoly in orbit. Look at the math nobody reads. A traditional broadband provider spends billions trenching fiber to suburbs and office parks, then fights regulators, local councils, and angry homeowners for decades. Starlink throws metal into space once, then sells that same bandwidth to airlines, ships, rural towns, militaries, mining camps, disaster zones, hedge funds trading from yachts, and whoever is dumb enough to stay dependent on earthbound cables. One satellite launch, dozens of revenue streams. That is not internet access. That is a high-margin, inflation-resistant tax on global connectivity. Now bring Rocket Lab back in. Their entire business is delivery guy to orbit. Governments, startups, defense contractors, and yes, companies like SpaceX all line up to send hardware upstairs. Every time geopolitics goes sideways, like fresh US strikes on Iran and renewed focus on missile tech, what happens? Defense budgets jump. Satellite surveillance demand jumps. Launch manifests fill. The pizza boy gets rich. You are obsessing over Bitcoin's 0.84% dip and Nvidia's 2.4% slide, while a completely different game spins up overhead. Infrastructure you will pay every month for the rest of your life and never see. Space internet is not a growth vertical. It's the 4th utility. After water, power, and roads, you now need bandwidth everywhere, all the time. Utilities survive recessions. Utilities survive regime changes. Utilities pass inflation straight to your bill. And satellite internet is just utilities with rocket fuel. Here's the mechanism you actually need to understand.
Does what you just heard make you want to learn more, to dig deeper, to ask better questions? That curiosity is exactly what separates people who understand finance from those who don't. Most people stop at the surface. You're going further. Let's continue.
When a business owns a critical choke point, inflation becomes a feature, not a bug. Inflation goes up, they raise prices. Your alternatives? None, unless you plan to lay your own submarine cable or launch your own satellite constellation this weekend. Ownership of the choke point is what you're really buying. Not AI exposure, not growth, a legalized toll. Starlink just proved its moat with that American Airlines deal. Once airlines standardize on one provider, switching means ripping hardware out of hundreds of planes and retraining crews. That's not happening every few years. Rocket launches are the same. You don't casually bounce between launch providers. You spend years qualifying rockets, negotiating slots, and syncing with regulators. Once the space toll booths are built, they stay built. So what does this mean for you, sitting there with an S&P index and a half-watched crypto portfolio? You own assets that react to inflation. You don't own assets that set the price of access under inflation. Stop worshiping logos and tickers and start asking one cold question. Where are the unavoidable tolls? Right now, a non-trivial chunk of them are moving off Earth and into orbit, and the market still treats this like speculative tech instead of future utility grid. Here's what you actually do with this. First, map the sky tolls. List out every public name exposed to satellite internet and launch. direct players, component suppliers, ground equipment makers, even airlines or shipping firms rewiring their fleets around space connectivity. You want the ecosystem, not just one hero stock. Second, separate hype from rent. Ask of each company, do they own a choke point or are they just a contractor? Contractors eat scraps. Choke points set the menu. Favor businesses that lock in multi-year contracts, operate regulated infrastructure, or sit between governments and their data. That's rent. Third, build a tiny persistent bet, not a YOLO. You don't bet the house on rockets. You skim 1 to 3% of your index forever money and redirect it into this space utility basket, then leave it the hell alone for a decade. Inflation works for you, not against you. This is not financial advice, but this is the truth. You either pay rent to the sky for the next 30 years, or you own a small piece of the landlord. There is no third option. 3-point summary. 1. Space internet and launch are becoming the fourth utility, a global toll on bandwidth. 2. Utilities with choke points don't fear inflation, they bill it to you. 3. Build a small, long-term basket around the space utility ecosystem and let time, contracts, and inflation do the heavy lifting. If you learned something new today, subscribe. Tomorrow we'll break another sacred investing myth and light it on fire. This is not financial advice. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and check the links in the first comment below.
That's it for today on Dr. Fred Markets. I hope this gave you clarity and a new perspective. Remember, this is not financial advice. Always do your own research. If you found this useful, subscribe. It's free and it helps the channel grow. Find me on the blog at drfredmarkets.com and join the newsletter via the link in bio. I'm Dr. Fred Markets. See you in the next one.